What's up guys, it's Jake from Prism Supply. Today we're going to walk you through an install for our Super Prism throttle as well as our Super Prism throttle cable. Alright, so when you get the Super Prism throttle from us, it's going to basically look like this. You'll see on the bottom it has a knurled thumb screw. That's actually your throttle lock, so the way that works. So right now the throttle spins freely. You just obviously rotate that in until it hits the throttle tube, which locks it kind of like a cruise control or a throttle control. And then you just loosen that and you're free spinning again. You'll see two set screws. These two set screws are the mounting screws. So once you slip it on, you're gonna tighten these two screws. And then the last thing we'll do is take this cover off and you can see how the throttle cable mounts up to the inside of the throttle itself. And if you look at this one, here's a little clear one we made just to show the inner workings and how it works with the throttle cable. So we modeled this throttle off of the 7/8 throttle, the Super Practic throttle, hence the name Super Prism throttle. We love that throttle and wanted one in a 1-inch version and one that somebody made today. And so that's why we came out with this throttle. Totally up to you if you want to run grease in the tube or not. It's really user preference. In this case, we're not going to do it just to keep everything clean, but you can just run like a fine amount of grease and it might make it run smoother between your chrome handlebars, your powder coated black handlebars, and the throttle tube itself. So I'm going to slip it on. Basically to the end of the tube is, let's say a 1/16 of an inch away from the edge of the bars. The reason that is because if it's pushed in further, once you put your grip on, it'll actually bind on the edge of the handlebar itself. So back it out a bit, and then take your 3/32 Allen wrench, tighten the two set screws. There's one right there, and the other one is at the very bottom. And it won't take much to hold this. There's not a ton of force on it, so you don't need to crank down on these set screws. Next thing we're gonna do is install the grip. This is one of our classic grips, the throttle side of our classic grip. So I'll show you a little trick on how to install grips. Any grip, it doesn't matter, not necessarily this one, but any of them. Grab some air, get the grip started on the throttle tube, push it on until it basically gets tight, and then spray some air right between the rubber of the grip and the throttle tube. And it'll slip right on. Simple as that. All right, next thing we're gonna do is take this cover off. Need a tiny screwdriver or pocket knife or something, just kind of pop that open. So that you can see the workings of it. And this is what the cover looks like that actually holds the throttle cable in. This is aluminum, polished aluminum. We also sell it in clear plexiglass. So we're just gonna set that aside with the bolt right now. Onto the throttle cable. When you get the throttle cable from us, this is how it's gonna look. It also contains this little guy, this little ferrule with a set screw. So you got a couple options on how you wanna run this. First of all, the one thing you need to know is this end, this spherical end, has to go into the throttle side. Second thing you need to know is this brass cylinder piece fits perfectly into the aluminum arm of the Linkert snap throttle kit. Totally up to you which side you want to run at the throttle and which side you want to run at the carb. In this case, we're going to run the bent side right here at the carb and the straight side of the throttle. All right. So I had to pull the inner cable out and flip the spherical side so that it was on the throttle side, which is our straight end. So if you take the inner cable, spherical side, cut side, insert it into the straight, gently feed it through. If it catches anything, you can kind of like rotate it the direction of the braid and push it in a little bit more. And then another trick is to take the bent tubing portion of it out completely. That way you're not trying to fight the inner cable getting around this bend. So you just remove that completely, set it aside, and then now we just gotta finish feeding the cable through the straight, like that, in. There you go. See how it got a little frayed? So we can trim that up. Then you take your handy dandy cable cutters, or if you don't have them, you can use dikes. It's not preferable. These are preferable. Gives you a nice clean cut. I'm just gonna trim the littlest amount off that I can. All right, and you can thread that back in. Okay, so the straight side will fit directly into the throttle. This ball will go directly to the cable holder. But it's easiest, in my opinion, it's easiest if you hook up the throttle side first. We already have our ferrule end installed. So you may have to play with this to get the right length, but it's really pretty easy. All you gotta do is loosen this set screw here with the flathead, and then you can adjust the length of this. So start long, and then creep up on it so you don't cut your cable too short. All right, so if you see on this aluminum arm that's on the Linkert snap throttle kit, there's a little slot there, and that's where you have to get the cable. So I kind of start by putting the ferrule in first, and then rotating it so it slips right in, and then rotating it back. So now it's locked. We designed this piece on the snap throttle kit to be a snug fit with the end of this cable. So push that in. So if you didn't flip the cable around, right, and you wanted to run the spherical end on this 90-degree side, you totally can, it's no problem. This end, the straight end, will also fit snug directly into Linkert snap throttle kit. Okay, and come back to this end, and all right, so I'm gonna grab the cable holder that's in the throttle, hook the ball end up, get into there, and kind of pull the throttle into place, right? There's still a lot of slack here. So with the cover still off, I'm gonna come back down here, adjust the slack, roughly to where you want it, totally up to you. Yeah, so you wanna go counterclockwise and then tighten the nut up against it. All right, and then the last thing we need to do is install the cover. The cover just slips right in, and then you have this little screw, little Phillips head. You just run that in, and make sure you don't cross thread that. That's a really, really tiny thread. So be careful when you're installing that screw. It doesn't need to be tight at all. And that's it. That's fully installed, functioning. So that's our Super Prism throttle combined with our Super Prism throttle cable, as well as our Linkert snap throttle kit. That's it.
All right.
All these products are available through our website, prismsupply.com.
Was I in frame?
No, you're good.
Like, comment, subscribe.